life shine. You gotta be working to get the woman and the wine. Keep the beat and get your hands in the air. Shuffle it quick cause it's an African affair. To Buffalo Park and our home at St. George's. We're bringing the silverware back on the gorgeous. That's the way of the warrior. That's the way of the warrior. That's the way of the warrior. That's the everyday warrior.
Down, coming out of PE town. One drink, find a shot. Never mind your liver, get to Gino spot.
Gino spot.
Get to Gino spot.
Gino spot.
Have a laugh, have a giggle, and exercise your middle. Have a Gino shot.
Gino shot.
Get to Gino spot.
Gino spot.
Get to Gino spot.
Gino spot.
Have a laugh, have a giggle, and exercise your middle. Get to Gino spot.
Gino spot.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Center Stage.
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Gino Spot. Gino Spot Tuesdays, every single Tuesday at 6:30. We are here live. Doesn't matter, come hell or high water, come rain, shine, and we need some rain, some more rain. So maybe it will be more rain. That'll be great. We are always on at 6:30 on Tuesday, and always getting somebody interesting from the area, from our local community, so that you can meet them and have a chat to them online. And even if you want to, you can ask them questions. And if you're online now and you're watching live now, this is live, you can also hand in some questions. You can put them on if you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook, you can put the questions in the comments and they'll come up here as well. And then we'll try and answer as best we can. Obviously, YouTube is probably the best way to watch it. If you're on watching on Facebook, switch to YouTube eventually because YouTube it reminds you every time. You can just subscribe to Gino Spot, and then it reminds you every week. And then once you've subscribed to it, it's free of charge. There's no charge, not a cent. So I'll pass out of your wallets. But you can watch every single week for nothing, and also you can subscribe to it, and then they will notify you when it comes on Tuesdays at 6:30, in case you forget, because you might be doing something else. That's completely unimportant because you should rather be watching this. That's right. All right, a little bit of advertising while I'm here. We have my show coming up at Remo's. Remo's, my Artificial Unintelligence is called. We've sold out up until now. The last show was at the German club. The last club was the German club, and it was fantastic. We loved that. And I see Warren Dickey. How's it, Warren Dickey? Nice to have you online as well. Yes, that's right. The ass jacket, man. I thought, I've got an entire costume room for the costumes just behind this wall over here, and so every Gino Spot I try and find something different, and this one is pretty bright. It's pretty bright. I think it was worn by Cliffy Clibb when he did the what is it guy? The So You Spasm Meatball. What's that guy? The mask. The mask. It's like the mask. That's right. Oh, so Gino Fabbri, his amazing show called Artificial Unintelligence is on the 4th of May at Remo's. So we'll be launching that advertising campaign tomorrow. First thing in the morning, we're going to be sending that out to everybody. So book your tickets, because I know at Remo's this tends to book quickly. So get in there before you miss out. 4th of May. May the 4th be with you. And go to Artificial Unintelligence, my brand new comedy show featuring Dolores and Wilfred Rump right from the Eastern Cape here as well, those two. Right. Our guest tonight as well. Wait, our sponsored Amobia and Sovereign, and also Fitch and Leeds, who have been with us for so long now, and always been supportive. Gary DeBrain and the guys. What a great team. We had just recently we did the Seagull Regatta, which I'm wearing my shirt. The Seagull Regatta in St. Francis at the Crom, the little Seagull motors, and there were, I think, 64 boats there. And we had a race, 2 horsepower, 3.2 horsepower or something. We had a race all the way up the Crom River. Half of us sank, but it's fine. We had a good jaw afterwards, and Fitch and Leeds were there as well to support too, which was fantastic. Thank you for that, Gary. It was wonderful, and we had a great race. Obviously, we've done the Kenton one. The Kenton one is the really big one. I think there's 204 boats there, which was incredible. These little old motors that were built in the 1940s and 30s and 50s, and they're still going because the guys keep them going. Looks like they're becoming collector's items. Right. So tonight we have Annette Lovemore. Annette's coming on, and I'm not going to dilly-dally anymore. No more. Let's get our guest on.
Welcome to the show. Now is your time to shine. We're gonna have a lekker chat tonight. Another good time.
And there we are, and we're in. Annette, lovely to see you.
Yeah,
Fantastic to have you on.
Thank you.
I've been eyeing you for a while to get you on. I know we've been chatting for a little while to try and get the right dates and the right time. You're a busy lady. You've been working hard.
Yes, I have. And now that elections are near, things are getting busier and busier.
Hey, I'm sure.
So, and you know what is the worst of all is that our lives are completely unpredictable. We live in Nelson Mandela Bay with a dysfunctional council.
Yeah.
So just to give you an example, we were supposed to have, and this is how difficult it is to define a calendar date when I am available to do something. So we were supposed to have a council meeting today, the 26th. Yeah. It was then postponed to Thursday. It was then postponed to tomorrow.
Postponed a lot.
It's now happening tomorrow. In the meantime, though, Gino, I must just tell you this. Yeah. In the meantime, though, you're aware that the mayor has brought a motion in the last council meeting to suspend the city manager and bring disciplinary action against her. She has now laid criminal charges against him and every lawyer that he has used in that whole process. So,
can you explain this thing to me? Because I have no idea what's going on with the city manager and it's Kaba. What is the other MBDA guy, Annette Lovemore?
Yes.
Is it got something to do with that as well, or is that a different thing?
No, well, it's one of the things that she is accused of by the mayor. She's accused of entering into a settlement agreement. He got 3 million to leave, basically, but she was accused of entering into a settlement agreement. But the fact is that council decided that it would enter into a settlement agreement, and then all that she gets is the instruction to make it happen.
Yes.
So to hold her accountable and say, well, you know, she didn't serve the city well because she actually implemented a council decision, an unlawful council decision, is just nonsensical. Yeah. And her lawyers make it very clear that this is the case.
So she's it looks like she's on the right.
And good for her. You know, I mean, we can't stand up and fight officials' battle. She's fighting her own battle, but good for her. She is never lying down and saying, "Oh, well, you got me this time." Yeah. She finds a way, and now, as I say, we got actually just before I left home, we got a copy of the letter that has been sent to the mayor and et al., all his lawyers, etc., that is involved, saying that criminal charges have been laid against them.
It just seems to be so silly because it slows down everything. Everything gets now is focused on this thing when it should be focused on
it's too dreadful.
Getting getting stuff fixed up.
It's really dreadful. You know, she's for all her faults, she might have been involved. I don't know. There's the investigations into various aspects of the deals that might have been corrupt. I can't say.
Yeah.
But she's good. She actually gets on with the job. She's pretty
so
good.
So she's doing a job.
She's bright.
Yeah.
She gets on with her work.
Okay.
But what we need is somebody in charge who makes sure that everybody else gets on with the job.
Yeah.
Because at the moment things are just so dysfunctional.
Yeah.
It's so broken. Every aspect of the municipality is broken. So I honestly don't believe. I mean, we're in opposition now.
Yeah.
Crying lots of tears because we know we could be doing a better job.
I know.
But we're in opposition. But it's just so important to keep fighting. I mean, you just have to ask: is it worth a fight? Yes, it's worth a fight. Yeah. And you do. You just keep.
And
fighting.
elections coming now. You know, I was watching a chap who was doing a political commentary, and he was saying the sort of gave three scenarios where the ANC. It's all to do with the ANC. And how much vote they get, you know,
yes.
and if they get very little vote, it wouldn't be so good because then they'd have to hook up with an EFF or it would go too far left. Then it would go far left, and then if they get sort of if it's too good, then they keep power,
yes.
and you have the same thing continuing. What he was saying is what he would have liked to have seen is a loss, but not a bad loss. so you need so that they wouldn't form the coalition with the far left, but then the others would be able to have a coalition. You know, and then it's coalition government again. And I'm thinking to myself, gee whiz, it's so. Are we going to sit with coalition governments now for a hang of a long time?
I think we are, but you know, as Helen Ziller often talks about coalition governments and how it can work, and it works across the world. In Germany, they've had coalition governments for decades and decades, but they're a very mature democracy.
Yeah.
We are not, you know.
Yeah.
So yes, the focus does tend to be on. I mean, when we were in government, we had 10 parties in coalition. Come on, you know, how was Retief? Retief is fantastic. He's got so much energy. He cares so deeply about the Bay. And all of us too, who were part of his Mayoral Committee, similarly. But each of those parties insists on a position, so they must be given a portfolio, although they've got one seat in council.
Yeah.
And for him to hold them accountable was almost impossible because the response is just, you want my vote, you don't want my vote, you decide, you know?
Yeah.
So it's very, very difficult.
Because it makes these little kingmakers. You know, these small parties.
Well, I mean, look at Gary van Niekerk.
Yeah.
If you want to see a kingmaker,
it's a small party like that, but yet
he's quite incredible, actually. I mean, he came in with this 2-seat party, three seat party, and he's been the speaker, and now he's the mayor, and he's been the mayor for far too long.
Yes,
for far too long.
Yeah.
So it really is quite incredible. I mean, for all his idiocy.
He's got staying power.
He's got staying power somehow.
And he clearly got some sort of connections that he can.
It's like, how does he do this? I haven't found the answer to that.
I don't know. His own party sort of fell apart, didn't it? I mean,
yes.
I mean,
yes, that was when he used municipal money. I mean, he was thrown out of his own party.
Yeah.
He wanted to go to court, so he wasn't even a councillor because he was out of his own party.
Yeah.
But he wanted to go to court to fight that.
Yeah.
He, on a speaker's letterhead, he appointed a lawyer to act for him in court against his own party. Ran up a legal bill of 500,000 rand.
Jeez, like.
Which, of course, the lawyers then charged to the municipality because it was on the speaker's letterhead. Still hasn't been paid. Well, I hope that he's going to be made to pay it in the end. Ultimately, I mean, certainly the people of Nelson Mandela Bay should not pay that bill by any means.
Yeah, it's just and I'm sure as a councillor you get inundated with all sorts of requests all the time, you know, and it's potholes, and it's always the potholes, and it's always the thing.
You do as a ward councillor, and I was a ward councillor until 2009.
Okay.
From 2000 to 2, so I've been I've been a public representative since the year 2000.
Gee whiz, okay.
So this will be my 25th year. Is it 2025?
Yeah, 2024. Yes, 24th year.
This will be my 24th year.
Yeah.
So I was a ward councillor for 9 years.
Okay.
And then I went off to Parliament for 7 years.
Which ward did you have here?
Ward 9, which started with Malabar, but it was Lytton Grange, Westring, Fern Glen, Sunridge, Framesby,
Wow, okay.
Cotswold.
Yeah.
It was great. I loved being a ward councillor.
Okay.
I loved it. But things worked a little bit better in those days,
Yes,
you know.
yes.
It was bad, but it wasn't as bad as it is now. And we had people like Graham Richards. I don't know if you know Graham Richards. He was the city manager at that stage.
Okay.
I mean,
Yes, I remember him.
capable people, you know,
Yeah.
really capable. So that was awesome.
Yeah.
I did love it. And I went to Parliament for 7 years. And then I came back when Athol became mayor.
Okay. Yeah.
So to be part of Athol's government.
Yes. Okay.
And to be part of government in my home city when I'd spent so many years in opposition, punting the DA's policies, etc., in opposition, and now I had the opportunity to try and put them in place in government. I mean, that was an incredible opportunity. Yeah. And of course, we would govern for 2 years, kicked out. And then I came back as a member of the Mayoral Committee with Mother Banga.
Yes.
And then came back again as a member of the Mayoral Committee with Retief.
Retief, yes.
And at the moment we're in the opposition.
Yeah.
But I'm a PR councillor, which means that I represent only the party.
Okay.
So I get involved personally, me.
Yeah.
I get involved in a whole lot of different issues where I can put my skills and experience to use. So I'm very involved, for instance, in the manganese ore business. I like to research. Okay. I like to write. I dig out, raise questions all the time. Very involved in the manganese ore business. Okay. Involved in possible corruption taking place in the expanded public works program. All sorts of things that I get involved in.
Okay.
That I can assist.
So people kind of point you, and you can have a look and see what needs to be sort of addressed, or at least dug up, or almost like a journalist kind of thing.
Well, it's a case of, like manganese ore, for instance, has got almost every directorate. Yeah. And in our case, our spokespersons, almost everybody is involved in some way. So there's building plans and human settlements. There's air pollution and public health. Yes. There's the use of the road and roadworthiness of trucks and overloading of trucks and whatever. In that safety and security has to see to. So many directorates are involved. So
all those directorates are all involved in this manganese.
Yes,
story.
And somebody's got to be the champion. Somebody's got to say, okay, I will make sure that we all meet, that we raise questions in the provincial legislatures, in Parliament, etc., etc. Okay. So
and in opposition as well.
Yes, but you can
the
raise.
The main party's also got a representation there as well. Or
no,
is it just
Gino?
Yeah.
Why do you say ruling?
I'm
serious. Why do you say ruling? They don't rule. That's wrong.
Oh, you mean? Yes, okay. Oh, fair enough.
They don't. It drives me dilly. I must say, when I see on TV, etc., they talk about the ruling party. They do not rule. This is not a monarchy, or in any way a dictatorship. Yeah. They govern. They're supposed to govern. But no, the group that I work with is the opposition group. Okay. But, we raise questions at all levels. For instance, I've just asked a colleague, and I know he's raised them, to raise questions about Transnet's management of their manganese at the harbour and what their dust, they've got to monitor their dust levels.
Because we want them out there.
Yeah. Well, they say they're going in 2027. We doubt it.
Oh, we said 2020.
But, yes, they just change the date all the time.
Yeah.
So I get involved in a lot of those sort of cross portfolio issues.
Okay. Do you get them together, those people together?
That's my job.
So you're a connector, really, I suppose.
That's what I do.
And you have to have an overview in your head about everything that's going on, I suppose, as well. So
it has to be issues that you're passionate about, though. That you feel passionate. I mean, the manganese ore. It's not manganese is not a bad thing. There's billions and billions. Yeah. In there for the country, particularly for the governing party at the moment.
Where's it coming from? It's coming from up country.
It's coming from the Northern Cape. And in fact,
Northern Cape.
Under that soil of the Northern Cape, we have 80% of the world's manganese. So this is just going to, at the moment, we're exporting about 30% of the world's manganese. So this thing is just going to escalate and escalate. This is the designated export hub, both harbours.
Okay.
So it's just going to grow and grow and grow. But the thing is, though, that it's growing at the expense of. So Nelson Mandela Bay is not benefiting.
Yeah.
What benefit are we getting? Those businesses. I don't know if you've been to Markman recently, but do yourself a favour if you have an hour free.
Yeah.
And just drive in there. Your stomach will turn. There are no roads left. The gravel roads where there was tar is just now just gravel with massive potholes. It's really, really bad. But the thing is that it's driving legitimate business that has been there for years, and some food companies even.
Yeah.
It's driving them out.
Oh, right.
It's driving them out. It's having such a negative impact. And also there are people who are living nearby. So.
And it's not bringing in enough. It's kind of like the bunkering that's going on in the bay.
Absolutely. So, I mean, what benefit is it to the bay?
And that's why it's a designated port, because they know that there's nobody to stop them from using it. Is that right? Is that why? Why would they choose
to boost the harbours?
PE here?
To boost the harbours.
Yeah,
the harbours work independently. Yeah. So, I mean, Durban Harbour is the harbour and Richards Bay for coal.
Okay.
And it's an ANC decision. And here we do manganese.
In the same.
This is where we do manganese. So absolutely.
Okay. So they're just.
So it's not going to change, and we've got to find a way of dealing with it. So that's one of my main issues. And then I get very involved within the party as well. I've been running since 2012. Been running what we call La Pomilanga, which is a provincial young leaders program.
Okay. Like forward the sun or the
the rising of the sun.
Yes,
the rising of the sun. Absolutely. So these are young people who probably would be leaders anyway. I mean, they're just people with a whole lot of potential and people who see themselves as leaders. But the program hopefully would fast track them within. They don't have to stay in the DA. I mean, we don't anticipate that every one of them is going to stay in the DA. But we have a very high success rate. There's a national young leaders program. And we run the provincial young leaders program. So I'm very involved in that. That takes a lot of my time.
I'm glad to hear that, because we need to train those youngsters to come through. They are the future with us. If you don't do that, then that party's just going to get older and older and older.
Yeah, we've actually got a lot of young people. Now, I feel it. I'm 65, so I feel it. Even not my own people, but from the ANC particularly, every now and again they will shout, when you stand up and talk about something, they will shout something like, go and play with your grandchildren, really, or something like that, just to shut you up. Yes. But, I mean, I have still energy, I have enthusiasm, as long as I've got passion. Gino, I have a daily dose of outrage. Yeah. I really, I really do. Something has to make me feel outraged every single day. Like recently, the scholar transport issue, when there was no scholar transport, and these kids. I work a lot in the Keiger and Rocklands area. Okay. And these kids are getting dressed for school beautiful. They're so neat. Yeah. They're getting dressed for school every day, stand there at the bus stop. No bus comes for over a month. You can't not be outraged about that and try and do something about that. But no, there's enough bad stuff going on to have a daily dose of outrage.
I mean, I see that, and they've got that same problem in St. Francis at the moment with the kids that want to get into.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is cool. Yeah. So that's another. And I know that the school kids are with Philippa, that was one of your portfolios, the
basic education, yes.
Basic education,
yes. At
the time, Yeah. And I mean, I mean, and you get thrown in the deep end with these things. We were just saying, as a part of the DA yourself, you get given this portfolio and just run with it, go.
Well, you do. When I was very lucky when I went there, because my background is I did a BSc in maths and chemistry.
Okay.
And then I went gradually. I spent a couple of years at the breweries and became a qualified taster, which was nice. Which was great fun.
Yes, a taster. It's every schoolboy's dream to have a
qualified beer taster.
The beer taster.
But I moved on from there to gradually become very involved in water management.
Okay.
And then environmental management, environmental law, etc. I lectured quite a lot, etc. in those those fields. So when I went to Parliament, I was very lucky to be put on that portfolio. But you get shifted around. I was on Home Affairs for a short while, for about a year and a half.
Yikes.
No, but listen,
It's
it's not just passports and IDs that people are struggling to get, and unabridged birth certificates, which is, I think, the worst.
Okay.
It's the human rights of refugees.
Oh, right. Okay.
For me, was the biggest thing. I went to Lindela, which is what do they call it?
Like a refugee camp.
It's not a camp. It's a place where when they round all these guys.
Lindela means wait.
Does it mean wait?
Lindela, wait
Like
a bit.
wait?
Yeah, wait
Okay,
a bit.
yes.
Yeah.
So it is the place.
It's a waiting
from
place.
where they wait to go to be deported. So everybody that gets rounded up in the country gets trucked, and it really is, to me, they look like cattle trucks, honestly, arriving at Lindela. And you walk down this, it's just, I never was, and this sounds very arrogant even for me to say it, I never obviously was in the Second World War, but I just thought this must have been what people felt like walking into a concentration camp, because there's this tunnel. It's all enclosed, and you walk. It's a long tunnel. You walk down these big doors at the end there, and you open the doors, and that's the end. That's the end of you in South Africa. But inside, there's nothing. It's just bare and cement. But generally, the rights of refugees, that was my big issue. And also, and let me tell you, I got into a whole lot of trouble for this with voters, not so much with my party, but with voters. Also, the rights of lesbians and gays. If you are a male couple, for instance, two gay guys, you have a baby, you've got to say who is the mother and who is the father. On the form, it says mother and father. Come on, get with the program. I mean, seriously, there were a lot of cases of people not being able to get married because Home Affairs has their designated marriage officers, but they're allowed to decide whether they, maybe according to their own religious beliefs, whether they want or they're prepared to marry a gay couple or not. And many are not. So at one stage, for instance, here in Port Elizabeth, in Port Elizabeth, gay couples couldn't get married. So that was the kind of thing that the passports and stuff is very important, but it does get a bit dull.
It was boring.
It does get a bit dull. But there's enough to
keep you stimulated.
Get the daily dose of outrage.
Yes. Okay, that's what you need.
And then you get working on trying to help people. Basic education is, I used to cry almost every day, and it worried me. I thought, should I go and see somebody? Should I go and talk to somebody? Get some help, some therapy? I thought, if I'm seeing what I'm seeing, and I'm not crying, then there's actually a problem. Really, because I did see the 80% of the schools that are dysfunctional. Talking to a principal, I'll never forget that in Limpopo, where they didn't get textbooks, the whole province didn't get textbooks, and saying to this guy, you had a very low pass rate last year with your matrics, haven't got textbooks, you haven't got enough teachers, what's going to happen this year? And he just shrugged his shoulders and said, they'll fail. So that still requires a lot. Well, but you see, there's stuff that you don't just leave that behind. We're busy at the moment trying to get a community library going. We've got lots of donations of books, so we're starting reading at schools. And because reading's the big thing, that kids must learn to read. But you're quite right. You just get thrown in the deep end. You've got to learn. I get a call from Lindiwe Maziboko saying, as from tomorrow, you are a spokesperson on basic education. And then the press start phoning and they say,
hi, Annette, just want to find out about this and that.
Honourable Lovemore, that's another bugbear of mine, but Honourable Lovemore.
Honourable Lovemore.
What is your view of education for the future? What would you like to see change? What I used there was the fact that I came from the province. I do come from Eastern Cape, from the province which had the worst standard of education, and I was working in the Western Cape, which had the best standard of education at that stage. So you can juxtapose the two, see what is done differently, and I always use that. But just as we're chatting, that title honourable, that title honourable is supposed to remind you as a member of parliament of the honour you bear, representing the needs and interests of 60 odd million South Africans. It is not a title that gives you status and your fancy long those shoes that the men wear, long, those cars that they drive and whatever. You know, I had lunch on one occasion with two of our staff members when we were away on an oversight trip. And those staff members are way more qualified than most MPs, let me tell you. These two had master's degrees. And I was actually called in by the leader of our delegation, who was one of the ANC MPs, after that, told that they must know their place. They are officials. They cannot fraternize with honourables. And if they continue to do that, they will be, I mean, they did used to use this term, honourables. Honourables. If they continue to do that, they will get sent home. So, and they were, of course, spoken to as well. But I was told in no uncertain terms that it's not, I mustn't fraternize with staff.
Lowly staff.
Lowly staff who are writing all the speeches, doing all the research, etc., etc. So it didn't worry me particularly, but it does worry me that people think that politics brings status, or a politician has got a certain status, and you don't. You've chosen a way to add value to people's lives using your skill set, and I chose a way to add value, I hope, to people's lives using my skill set. And there are different ways. The fact that mine is politics doesn't elevate me.
Yes.
It really doesn't.
No, it's a servant of the people in the end.
People do, though, they and, you know, I don't know so much now, but certainly when I was first a councillor in the year 2000, I became a councillor. And then you used to arrive at somebody's house and they'd have all their best teacups and things out. And I went to a thing once where there were a couple of ladies getting together, and each of the ladies, it was in Grafenet, each of the ladies was asked to bring something for the tea. They were only melktert. The whole table was full of melktert.
Is so lekker.
But as die raadslid kom kuier, you know. So, and so for some people that is very special.
Yes, yeah.
But what is most special, I think, is the fact that you have a power that everybody should have. It's not okay that councillors are able to achieve more than the average person. So if you've got a problem with your account, say, and you can't find anybody to talk to, I might be able to better find a person to talk to and get it sorted out, you know. Shouldn't be that way, but it is
because it's government.
So people need you, and then they see you as something special because you talk to the big people and people in charge and whatever.
Because you have to, as part of your job, all the time.
But that's your job,
and you have to be connected in that way.
You do. I mean, if you put your face on the poll, as I did for the 2000 election and 2006 election.
How did you put it?
Yes, because I was becoming a ward councillor. So you put your face on the poll and you say, vote for me and I will serve your needs and interests. You have to do it. I mean, you don't just do that and then just renege on that promise as soon as you're elected. You don't. Or you can.
It's difficult to do everything as well, because I'm sure you get swamped, especially as a ward councillor. You know?
You do get swamped. Luckily, no, you do. Oh. And your life is not your own.
How do you cope with that, though? I mean, how do you deal
You get good staff. We're very lucky in our metro that each ward councillor has got 2 staff members.
Okay.
So if you choose your staff members well, they can take a lot of load off your shoulders. And
you work as a team then, basically.
Oh yeah, but the thing is that people have got your phone number. They otherwise they've got the office number, but so they've got your phone number. So after hours when electricity goes out,
1,000 phone calls.
I gaan nou vir die raadslid bel, you know, they do. And they've got every right to what's going on with electricity. You know, it's not load shedding, etc., etc. We haven't had water for 2 days or whatever it might be. And the more dysfunctional the city is, the less your life is your own.
Yes.
So the ward councillors have it really rough. And the fact is that social media, gives people a level of anonymity,
Yes,
which
of course.
allows
And,
them to
keyboard
abuse.
warriors. Yeah.
Yeah, it
They do,
allows
they
them
do.
to abuse.
Yes.
So they swear.
Yeah.
I mean, our
off
ward
with it.
councillors are treated very, very badly.
Yeah.
I don't get that.
Yeah.
Luckily, I don't get that. My work is largely in committees and with my colleagues
Yeah.
and with business people, for instance.
Yeah, so you don't deal directly with the public.
Not anymore. I used to.
What do you enjoy most and least about serving as a councillor in PE? But now, is it a councillor now? So do you call it? Are you in council now as well? So
Yes.
you're just on the
So
ward
we all get
councillor
paid the
and-
same.
Okay.
We all get paid the same. So a
you have
ward
the
council will
meetings.
tell you that's very unfair because they do far more work than a PR
All
council
right.
ever
You're a
does.
councillor.
But-
So what do you enjoy most about it and what do you enjoy least?
You know, I don't enjoy much least. I really don't. I have absolutely zero regrets about coming into politics. But I mean, I know it's a question and we must find an answer.
Yeah.
But whenever I do a talk to a club or whatever it might be about politics, I entitle it the privilege of politics because it is a privilege. It really is a massive privilege.
Yeah.
It feels like you.
Honour.
It is.
Honourable.
It is. Absolutely. You feel like you are part of history, part of making change, etc.
Yes.
But when something happens and there's a change as a result of your constant, and it often has to
Badgering.
be. You know, Bobby Stevenson will tell you that he argued for 8 years for a police station in Bethelsdorp.
Wow.
It's there now.
There. So you
It's
did it.
there now. So no matter how long you have to fight, if it's worth a fight, you do.
Yeah.
And
Get it right.
when you can see that result, but you know, as a ward councillor, even something like a speed hump, which some people hate, but nevertheless, if your children can't play in the street because the people are speeding so, and now there's a speed hump, and then you feel safe with them cycling on, absolutely, that's brilliant. So you really feel like you've made a difference in that person's life, and that's, I think, the best possible thing about being a councillor. The difference, of course, will be framed very much by the party that I'm a member of and its policies, etc.
Yes.
What don't I like? I don't. Perhaps, you know, their frustrations. People say, "Oh, how do you do this? How do you deal with these people, etc." You know, and it is frustrating. I mean, when the EFF first came to Parliament, when the EFF first came to Parliament in 2014. I went to the waterfront. After the first day, I went to the waterfront and I bought myself my first little sort of individual teapot.
Oh, right.
One of those glass ones with a little burner.
Yes.
And I used to get home. I mean, it's better than drinking a bottle of wine when you get home. So I used to make myself a lovely cup of chamomile tea or something. You know? So, I mean, sometimes it's seriously frustrating. But you just keep going.
Comes the rain.
Yes, absolutely. This happened last night too, so that's beautiful.
Fantastic.
Fantastic, yeah. I mean, I've been so involved in the water issues as well, which has been such a privilege. But, you know, two things.
Yeah.
And these just are as they are. I'm not complaining necessarily. They just are as they are.
Yeah.
But although you can pursue different positions within the party, like Retief is our caucus leader, for instance, your salary is dictated by the Government Gazette.
All right.
So a councillor, I've been a councillor for 24 years, as I said. So a councillor that starts, and now after the elections, a couple of our councillors will be going to Bishop and going to Parliament.
Yeah.
So we'll be having by-elections.
Okay.
And a councillor that starts fresh will earn exactly the same
as you.
As I earn. So, you know, sometimes I think, gee, you know, if I was in corporate now and I had so many years of experience, maybe I would be earning a little bit more than this.
You'd be a CEO.
But I'm just not one of those people that is ever really worried about money. It's why I don't have much.
Okay.
But it's as I say, it just is as it is.
Well, it's for your soul. There's so many comments there. We must have a look at some of those comments, Gary.
And the fact that I have to apply for my job every 5 years.
Oh, yes, that's tough. It's like a DJ.
Yes, I have to
Like a
apply for my
DJ.
job every 5 years.
I see we've got a pile of comments. I'm just seeing who's online here. I see Garth Sampson. Garth, we're having some lekker rain here. Thank you. Welcome, Auntie.
Garth has retired today.
Yes, I believe so. We heard that you're retired now. So it's going to be only what he wants to do now, I think.
Yeah, but he says he's not leaving the weather.
No. He'll never do that. He's got to. Keith Clark, good evening. Good evening, Keith. We need some more punters, Keith, at some stage, eh? We run out. Marina van Sail said, Annette is such a wonderful person, so passionate about the Bay, Eastern Cape, and South Africa. Thank you, Marina. And Davina, there's another Lovemore.
Yes.
It's your cousins.
Yes.
The cousins. Interesting chat, my cousins. And Davina is I think it's Davina's in Plett. Is that right? Was she?
No, she's here.
Is she here
She's here.
still?
Yeah.
Why am I thinking it's in Plett? No, Davina. I'm getting mixed up with the Davinas. Garth Sampson, I'll never travel Craddock Road ever. Those trucks are out to kill other motorists. No policing.
He's
There we
talking
go.
about
There's
the
manganese trucks. They are quite hectic.
Oh,
those
look, there's
manganese
my colleague Jason.
Megan.
He's so sweet of him.
I see Megan Gould there as well, the passionate woman in this political field. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan.
And Jason, yes. As you say, Jason is...
Jason is the Ward 40 councillor.
Ward
He's
40, I
the ward
see.
councillor there, and I work
Okay.
with him,
Okay.
assisting him in Ward 40. It's a
Oh,
massive
my.
ward. It takes up 1/3 of the metro.
What areas is that now?
It's all along the coast: Seaview, Beachview, Kinney Bay, Blue Horizon Bay,
Yo.
and then down to Rocklands, Greenbushes, Keiger. It's massive.
Okay. She was. You're going to have to bring the mics closer here because it's bloody raining like it's... It's great. My tanks are going to be full.
Hey, mine.
Garth, my
It's
tanks are
wonderful.
filling up. Okay. Can you see my happy eyes? And we need some rain, and I'm just hoping the winter's going
Let's
to bring
hope the
some.
Mpofu Dam. No, but listen,
Yes.
the Mpofu Dam, I mean,
Yes.
they use that as the reason why they won't relax restrictions, because the Mpofu Dam is still under 50%.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So recently you might have heard on Go FM,
Yes.
they had a discussion where they said every time we bring a big artist
Yes.
to Nelson Mandela Bay, it rains.
Yes.
So we need to turn Mpofu Dam into an amphitheatre.
Yes, that's a
have
good
the
idea.
concert there,
Yes.
and the dam will fill up. Brilliant
That's a
idea.
much better plan. I like that.
Brilliant idea.
Kirsten Love, there's another Lovemore,
That's
some
my
family.
daughter in the UK.
Oh, your daughter in
Yeah.
the UK. Live here from PE. There we go. Mariki Steenkamp, brave and bold. I must admit, that's what I thought when I first saw you. And I've seen, you see little clips and stuff on of you in Parliament and whatever. And I thought, gee, that's a strong lady then.
Bye,
must-
thank you, Mariki.
And there's a brilliant public rep and completely passionate about the country. Thank you, Samantha. And Tori Masters. Annette, you're amazing. There's Tori saying that as well. Love you. Got
Tori,
some-
thank you.
And it's nice to be live like this as well. because
Yes,
if
it's
you want to
lovely.
ask her anything, please just pop it in the comments. Easy peasy. While this rain is going on. Okay, now let's go back in your history now. I want to find out a bit about where Annette comes from. Where your original, you said you were, your maiden name was
Vermoten.
Vermoten. This was from the Nederland.
No, originally,
Must be.
Originally, yes.
And where were you born and brought up?
I was born here in
PE,
Port
okay.
Elizabeth, but my dad was transferred a couple of years in Grahamstown at Victoria Girls.
Okay. Oh, VG.
Yes,
Okay.
and then we went up to Kimberley, so I matriculated at Kimberley Girls High.
Kimberley. Okay. Wow.
And then I went to UCT, and then I fell in love.
Oh.
So I,
Oh, there we go.
So,
UCT.
so I followed the person with whom I was so in love
Yes.
back to Port Elizabeth. He actually lived in Port Elizabeth.
Was that not your hubby?
No, it was
Before you-
over within 6 weeks.
Oh,
It was
6
over.
weeks. So you were heartbroken.
It had been a long distance. He was in the army in those days.
Oh,
we had to do the
yes,
2
of
years.
course.
So it had been this long distance relationship.
Oh, my soul.
But when we were with each other all the time, it was over within 6 weeks.
Oh,
And then I was
all
like,
So long distance was fun. Beste Annette. Jy's
Liewe
pragtig.
Annette.
Ek hoor van daai fotootjie wat jy vir my gestuur het. Dankie.
yeah. So, and then,
And you followed him back here.
I did.
And then 6 weeks and it was gone. So you
Yeah,
were
but it's okay.
stuck in PE.
I made friends,
Yeah.
good friends.
Okay.
And eventually I met Kenny Lovemore,
Okay. Yeah.
who I married. And
Okay.
and that was that as far as Port Elizabeth was concerned, because this
Yes.
is his home.
Okay.
So
okay.
we weren't going to move after
My
that
side.
happened. as long as
What
I
did he
was-
do? What was Kenny's?
You know, Kenny's love. He was the youngest of three sons.
Okay.
So he's from Bushy Park, Lovemores.
Okay.
And there were three brothers, and it's been since 1820 that the oldest brother has
Yes.
inherited the farm.
Oh, I
So we
see.
always knew that the youngest brother would not inherit anything.
Wow.
All Kenny wanted to do was farm.
Oh,
But
my
his
word.
dad very wisely said to him, before you come and farm, go and get a trade, which he did do. He became a mechanic, and then he went back to farm. But, things didn't work out so well, and he ended up having to go back to being a mechanic,
Yeah.
which the poor man hated every day of his life. But, kudos to him. He stuck at it
Yeah.
so that we could buy a house and he could
Yes.
have medical aid and all this, could put the kids through
Yeah,
school.
he did the stuff. He
He
did
did
what
the
he
stuff.
needed to do.
Absolutely.
Oh my
Absolutely.
word!
Yeah.
My word. And yourself. So you UCT. What were you doing? You said BSc.
Yes.
So you finished your BSc,
I
and
did.
then you came here, and then did you hook up with some work then? You
I worked for the CSR, and then I worked for the university.
Okay. Clearly, you're pretty focused. Then you're an academic.
I wasn't really at that
Science
stage.
and maths.
Some people
Chemistry.
have. Yeah, well, I liked that. I mean, that's what I like. I'm one of those straight line people. I
Yeah.
put one foot in front
Okay.
of the other. I'm
OCD.
like you are creative, and I
Yes,
presume
yes.
our mind goes in
Yes,
all
we
sorts
can
of
make
different
all our
directions.
wires. She was complaining because we got wires on the floor here. See, the OCD was getting the better of you.
So I'm good. You see, now this is coming back to what I do best.
Yes.
These putting things together. Like,
Okay.
so what do we want to achieve in the end? Like
Yeah.
the Lapumilanga training. What do we
Yes.
want to achieve? What do we have to do to get there? Who is to be involved?
Okay.
When does each person? That's the sort of stuff.
Okay.
You see, that's the step by
That's
step
yours.
stuff.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So
Okay, you
that's,
do that.
Yes. But I eventually, then I got married to Kenny, and we had twin girls,
Twin girls. Okay, well, that's
and they're both in the UK
Kirsty
now.
and
Kirsten and Angela.
And Angela. Okay, where's Angela? Is she the wayward one? She's not online.
No, she's
tonight.
not. Well, there she is,
Is
Angela
she there?
Barnard.
Angela Barnard. There we go. Let's have a look at that comment there as well. There's the other one. We won't leave you out, Angela.
Thank you for watching.
Proud of
my
all you
garden.
achieved, Mom P. You're lucky to have you.
Oh, shame. That's
Oh,
very sweet of
lovely.
you.
And so they're both overseas.
Yes, they are, sadly.
Okay. Oh my word, the grandchildren as well, no doubt.
Yeah, Robin. But they, I worked for the breweries after I
Okay.
was
Yeah,
like
okay.
a year.
And that's chemical as well. But
Yes,
also
that was
your
a
tasting.
quality. Yes,
Yes.
well, it's quality control. so we used to have. I was in charge of what we call trade tasting.
Okay.
So every Friday we would go to 3 pubs,
Yeah.
and
Oh my soul. What the hell, man? What kind of job is this?
It was trade tasting. So the beer has to be served at a specific temperature.
Temperature, yes.
It can't be aged. Beer has a shelf life of 3 months.
Okay.
So you can hold the beer up. You must check for
Oh.
floaters.
Yes, tell us
For
what
instance-
to look out for floaters.
Yes.
Like what's it look like? Like
A haze.
powder.
Like a haze.
A
So
haze.
people say my daughter's getting married at the end of the year. I will start
Yeah.
buying beer now. Don't do that.
Oh, okay.
It's got a shelf life of 3 months.
3 months only.
But so those sort of things we used to check for stock rotation,
Yes.
etc. So every Friday afternoon we would go to 3 pubs,
Okay.
qualified tasters,
Okay.
serious people.
Was Donovan Sparks involved there? Because do you
No, I
all know
didn't
him?
know. I
The
knew,
SAB?
Yes, but Ross Clements.
Ross Clements. Yes, I've met. Yes, of course.
No, I'm sure. Schalk Burger was also a rep at that stage.
Ross, but there was the guy. Oh man, I've forgotten the names now. But Ross, Ross definitely is one of them. I've seen him. I saw him not too long ago.
Yeah,
Great
yes, I hear as well.
Yes.
So
Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah,
tasting a bit.
Yeah, and then
tasting.
slowly started getting involved in the water field and
Through the
environmental-
beer. Like, so I mean,
No.
is it quality control for the beer thing? Or?
No, the South African Breweries is a fantastic. I don't know if they still are, but they were
Yeah.
fantastic employer. I
Yeah.
loved working for
Okay.
them, but they're a very demanding employer. So
Yes.
because I was a taster, I would be called out. Beer goes from here to be bottled in East London very
Okay.
often if there aren't. There's too much for the packaging
Yes,
line here.
okay.
So you'd get called out at 3:00 in the morning to come and taste beer to make sure that it was okay to be bottled.
3:00 in the morning.
It happened,
It's like I can't
yes.
say it anymore.
Just taste it. You don't drink the whole
okay.
glass.
And you spit it
but-
out as well.
You don't spit it
Oh
out.
no, it's not. Yeah. Just checking how it works. Swill it around a
you
bit.
don't
and-
spit it out.
Okay.
And we
Check
used to
for-
taste every day as well. At tea time,
Wow.
we used to taste every day. But eventually my husband actually said to me, listen, this is, we've got two small daughters.
Yes.
And,
And you're beating me up every time we come home.
Yeah, and you're just not around enough. So I left and I got a job in the water lab at the municipality. And then from there to the Department of Water Affairs, from there to the university. So I got very involved in water and environmental legislation.
And what
et
sort
cetera.
of thing with water? And just water quality?
Yes,
fixing,
water-
fixing the valley when it goes, for the
Yes,
municipality.
water quality, but not only drinking water quality in the rivers, for instance.
Yes,
Discharge of effluents
Effluent.
into the
Like,
rivers,
yeah.
into the sea, etc. Like
Happens
now,
all the
I
time.
would have come down hard on the Nelson Mandela Bay Municipality because they are discharging very poorly treated effluent into the
Terrible.
bay. But
into the bay as well.
and then Gino. So I was never politically involved,
Yeah.
for which I feel a level of shame now. I really do. I mean, I grew up in South Africa as a privileged white person.
Yeah.
And we went through 1994. I was working at Water Affairs. Things changed. The focus changed, obviously, to provision of water for everybody,
Yes.
which is perfectly understandable. But one day in 1998, there was an election coming up in 1999. We had an election in 94, and
Yes,
then
94,
5 years
99.
after that,
Okay.
there was the next national election in 99. And we decided who we were going to vote for, the party we were going to vote for. And we were in the library one day, my husband and I, and the local representative of that party bumped into Kenny. He physically bumped into him. And he didn't say sorry.
Yeah.
But he just walked on. And Kenny said, I'm not voting for somebody with no manners. And that changed my life.
Wow.
Because I said to him, we can't. This is the new South Africa. People
Yeah.
have actually died. I mean, it was like,
Yeah.
it really was an epiphany.
Yeah.
Just a light bulb moment.
Yeah.
People have actually died for
Yes.
this new South Africa. You cannot make a decision on who you're going to vote for as somebody whose mind is probably elsewhere, is busy preparing for an
Yes.
election.
Who knows? Well, maybe he was a dick, but there's, you never know.
I said to him, I'm going to get involved. I can't not. So I phoned. Well, no, I didn't phone the next day. I actually downloaded policies from every party.
Okay.
I had the UDM's chief, somebody from Mthatha came to my house and gave me a
No
speech
ways.
in my dining room. His bodyguards ate every Vienna sausage and ate crisp in my house. But I eventually joined, as you know, the DA
Yes,
because
okay.
their values
Yes.
resonate with mine.
Yeah.
I'll never leave because of a person either. I will only
Yeah.
leave if the values don't resonate anymore. So,
Yeah.
but I phoned Bobby Stevenson and I said I want to join the party, and I did, 1998, and started getting very involved, and then stood as a councillor in the year 2000. But people do vote on such a fickle basis. I remember, you phone people and you say the election coming up, checking your details.
Yes.
Can we count on your support for the election? And the one lady said to me, I'll never vote for you again. I didn't know the lady even. She was on the voters roll, but I hadn't met her.
Yeah.
And never vote for you again. And I said, that's your right, obviously, but may I ask why? And she said, because my husband saw you in the spa and you didn't even greet him. I didn't know him.
I know.
So let me tell you, I go around the spa smiling now.
Yeah,
because I
everybody.
do. So I do. So,
Oh, my word.
but
But
no,
you must. I mean, you've got to be strong to deal with a bit of flack because people are quite hectic with politics.
no, you do. You develop you do develop a thick skin,
Yeah.
and I think of myself as one of those Skittles. I
Yeah.
think the German club, they've got
Yeah,
the Skittles on
yes.
springs. They go like this,
Yes.
They wobble and then they stand up straight
Yes.
again, and then
Okay.
they don't move forward, but I do, So
And I mean, because especially and like you said in Parliament, those guys are tough, and there's always a line of questioning, and they always try and catch you out. And
you get it when you asking questions. When if you're in opposition, as I was, So I can remember once asking questions of the Minister of Water Affairs, and one of her colleagues shouted out, "Ignore Lovemore, Minister. She has all the hallmarks of idiocy." And one of our whips jumping up saying, "Is it parliamentary to call somebody an idiot?" And the speaker saying, She wasn't called an idiot. It was just said that she's got all the hallmarks of an idiot. So, but it's not personal. When I first became a councillor, I did used to cry. I did.
Okay.
I did.
So
but I realised it wasn't about me.
Yes, it's not personal. It's like a game almost.
And people don't phone their councillors immediately. They phone when they're
The
yes. Yeah. Thank you for saying the word.
Well, unfortunately, that's the ward council. Then I presume that the ward councillors also come to you as well with their problems as well. Although, is it not like that? How does the structure work? I mean, if you're a ward councillor, who do you then go to try and solve your problems? I've got the guys saying, all the robots have been ripped out. All the
officials. The officials.
So you deal with the staff, basically.
Yeah, you deal with the staff. If you really can't get stuck, you would go to Retief and get him to get involved. But I mean, he's so overloaded.
I'm sure.
But if I can assist in whatever way, let me give you an example. Like the Rocklands police station was vandalised. Yes. It's a satellite station of the Kabiga station. Yeah. But you can imagine out at Rocklands there have been a good couple of home invasions and really serious attacks. Yeah. So having no police station there, the Kabiga police station is 20 kilometres away from them, hasn't got enough vehicles, etc., etc.
Yeah, of course.
So the fight has to be started, at least, to get that reinstated.
All right.
So I can write a petition.
Yes.
I can
and it will have an effect because you can put it in the right
I can
hands.
make sure it gets to Parliament. I can make sure it gets to the legislature. Yes, so that I do that.
It gets in the right hands.
So that would help Jason in that case, for instance, because that's in Ward 40.
Okay.
So that's the kind of way that I get involved in people's
as a connector.
Yes.
And what I mean at the moment with this manganese thing, so is that consuming you at the moment? The manganese thing, or is it different projects?
I've got a couple of different projects. I spent most of my time today on drawing up the plan for this year's Lapumilanga.
Okay.
The training.
Okay. So that's the it's Home Affairs then.
No, that's us. That's Lapumilanga is the DA's provincial young leaders.
Yes,
No
so I'm getting confused with with what you said earlier.
I've gone the
immigrants.
All over the place.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the leadership program for the DA now.
So that was was most of today, and I've been quite busy recently with EPWP. We're very concerned that the expanded public works program is very politicized, and so we're trying to find ways to armor it, basically, to guard it against political interference.
Okay, because there's tenders there for is this for housing and stuff as well?
Any jobs.
Public works, so it can be any government buildings or any government construction.
Even the simplest of things like the litter picking jobs.
Oh, yeah.
But the members of the Mayoral Committee are getting first dibs at the moment. So they will give to their activists, and people who don't belong to a political party are not going to get the jobs, which is not okay. So that's something that I've been working on with Ronaldo Gous, actually. He's off to Parliament.
Is he?
Yes, I'm so proud. I have no right to be proud of him, but Ronaldo, I'm very proud
he's
of
a lovely guy. I mean, we've had him on as well. He's also outspoken and he's passionate about it. So
and kudos to him.
Yeah, it's what you need.
This is something that you have to know when you're going into a political party. For me, anyway, it's very important. The values and the principles have to resonate with yours, because you can't talk outside of the political party's values and principles. You'd be thrown out of the party if you did. So, and yet you don't want. You've still got to have your own brand within the party. You can't just be a parrot of DA language. So you've got to be so sure that, as I say, that those values and principles resonate with yours, which in Ronaldo's case, they do. So he can quite confidently speak out. I love the fact that he does. I'm such a Ronaldo fan.
A typical day in the life of a councillor. What does that include? Wake up and you brush your teeth, and then what?
I think what people are probably expecting to hear is more about a ward councillor. And I'm going to come back to that question, but I'm just noticing there, if you don't mind, there's a comment from my wonderful colleague, Kabelo Mokhatosi.
Mokatosi, let's have a look. It says, one of the people who have been influential in my growth, very sharp public representative with incredible ability to decipher complex policy and legislation. So you're just saying that. That's what you like to put it together. You bring all this
So I
chaos
read.
into...
Yes, people don't like to read. People don't like to read policy and law and that sort of thing. I do. So if they're trying to put something through council that is a complicated policy, most of the time it will just go through because nobody will read it. But I do read it.
Okay.
So thank you,
policy,
Camilla, for noting.
You have to have somebody doing that.
For noting that. One of the things that and he hasn't mentioned it there, but that he brings up very often is he came through our Lovemore Young Leaders Program and then went on to be part of the National Young Leaders Program. He's now going to Bishu. He's done very well and he's high up on the list in Bishu. But one of the things that we do in Lovemore is etiquette.
Yeah, okay.
And, which knife and fork do you use first? Which glass do you use, etc.
Okay.
And
so training for the dinners.
He's always saying how grateful he is for that, because sometimes you go to an ambassador's home, for instance, and you get confronted with this array of stuff. And either you don't eat, or you make a fool of yourself, or you know what you're doing. So he knows what he's doing, which is fantastic.
From ground up, everything. So we should look out for Mokheti.
Watch him, I'm telling you.
We'll watch him as he rises through the ranks. It's great to hear.
He's teaching us to sing.
I see there, Sean Sullivan said Ronaldo Ghost, my boy, my boy Iron. That's it. And then, I see there's Kathy Newman. Hi, Kathy. She's another teacher. Kathy is net for president, she says.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you, all you do in the metro. Your biggest influence in your political career?
My two Helens.
Suzman and Zilla.
Yeah, exactly. When I was at school, my principal was Helen Bear. And when she retired, my principal was Helen Hugo. Okay. So I have done a speech entitled My Four Helens.
The Four Helens.
And in fact, I told one day I was talking to Helen Zilla's husband, Johan, about my four Helens, and he said you should do a speech. And I did.
Yeah.
And I've done it a couple of times.
Okay. Talk.
But Helen Suzman, first of all, and she would never know, obviously, but I think all of us have mentors that never know that they mentor us.
Yeah.
That we just learn so much from reading about them and hearing. I mean, Helen Suzman, she stood for simple justice, and one of her basic lessons is go and see for yourself. You would be amazed at how I'm trying to find a kind way to say this, but how you are told things that make you think everything's fine. Everything's fine until you go and look and see for yourself. Okay. So Helen Suzman was in the position where she went to the prisons, for instance, to see what the conditions were like for herself.
Yes.
Helen Ziller is an incredible woman. She will go down in history as one of the greatest leaders South Africa has ever had. She is, and you've met her and chatted to her.
She was a granny, but she was also
she is humble. She doesn't do titles and status. No. She doesn't do that. And in fact, it irritates her. It really irritates her. So, and Helen can resonate with from the poorest of the poor to top business people, leaders of countries, whoever, because it's all about common issues and what matters ultimately.
She's not afraid. She just says what she feels, and she's got into trouble for all sorts, but it doesn't matter. You are attracted to somebody who's real. It's
not for no reason that her book is called Not Without a Fight.
Yeah.
So
proper fight.
Absolutely. So Helen Ziller, I do actually find myself, and I know this might sound a bit cliched and maybe a bit silly, but so I do find myself sometimes saying, "What would Helen do?"
Yeah.
When we had the situation last year when water actually was not safe to drink. 4 months it was not safe to drink.
The jig lady, yes.
And I said to my colleague, "What would Helen do?" Helen would chain herself to one of the pillars at the city hall. I want to do this.
Yeah.
But I'm not the spokesperson on water anymore. I
No,
was,
sure. Yes,
but I'm not anymore. So I don't make those decisions. But I wanted to do that. I wanted to camp out on the City Hall Square, Vuisilimeni Square,
Yeah.
to make
sort it out.
to make a
Because
point.
it's only the poorest of the poor that's it's going to affect. We're going to have cholera.
Can't buy bottled water for heaven's sake.
Yeah, nobody can afford that when you're living in a shack. For goodness sakes, you need that water. You need those taps. You need this, and it, look.
So Helen Ziller she really has been my greatest.
And I think Sussman was one of her
Absolutely.
mentors as well.
And they met. They knew each other.
Yes.
So yeah, absolutely.
Amazing.
No, Helen is amazing. So and Helen means guiding light.
Okay.
Although Helen's name is actually, her first name is actually Otter.
Oh.
Her parents are German Jews, although she's a Christian.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
But it's Otter Helena
is
Maria.
it Helena?
In fact,
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Maria sounded very nice Italian. I like this one.
No, it's not Italian.
Fair enough.
Oh, goodness
There we go.
gracious.
Can you share a moment when you faced a tough decision as a councillor? Have you got any stories like that?
Tough decision as a councillor.
Yeah.
You face tough circumstances.
Yeah.
You face tough circumstances like having an illegal pub. I mean, I can remember that
Yeah.
my husband was away.
Oh, my word.
There was an illegal pub or a pub that opened illegally in our area.
Okay.
And I was fighting to have this thing closed down.
Hey.
And about 10:30 one night, I got a phone call. It was one of the guys, very slurry. It really, really was a
Yes.
no, gaan ek vir die raadslid bel, And all the guys around. You could just imagine the situation. But it was a biker's pub, and he said that they're on their bikes, they're coming, they know where I live, and they didn't arrive.
So threatening.
Yeah, and I've had a couple of threats. I think we all have, I think we all have.
Okay. I mean, all politicians have had. As a comedian, I don't think I've ever had a life threat. Have you ever threatened your life?
It's never scared me.
Yeah.
I've never taken it that seriously.
Yeah.
So
Sure. That is
so
tough.
you could back down, but you can't because there are people living in the area. There are people who are exposed to like the noise all the time.
Yeah, of
It's
course.
like a difficult situation. I
Well, that's
remember-
tough.
Yeah, but it's not really difficult. There's,
Yeah.
it's the decision ultimately is.
So do you think as a politician you've sometimes got to make decisions that are not necessarily popular, or I can't think of an example now, but you have to do something for the majority and not for the few. Although it seems to a certain part of the community that it's important to them, but not but it would affect the others. I don't know if there's anything like that, or
Retief has had some very, and I'm using him not because he's the caucus leader or has been mayor, but because of his involvement in budget and treasury, and he was the member of the Mayoral Committee responsible for budget and treasury. So we introduced a charge to reconnect your electricity. We introduced that.
Okay, yeah.
Us, the DA government, introduced.
Damn you!
And it was
Yeah.
for good reason. It could be justified, motivated, but no matter how much, there's a saying in politics that if you're explaining, you're losing.
Yeah.
So if you've got to explain to people why this is important and what benefit it's going to have to the city, they don't care, quite frankly, because
Gonna
it's
pay
not having
money.
a benefit to them.
Yeah, it's going to pay money.
It's their pocket that is having to come out of. They couldn't pay for the electricity in the first place because they couldn't afford it, and now you tell them to pay 300 odd rand to have it reconnected.
Yeah,
Something they couldn't afford.
Yeah.
So there are difficult decisions that have to be made. I am really sorry that I can't think of one right now. The difficult situations, but
Yeah.
the decisions I haven't found that difficult.
Yeah, it's okay in that it's also you're part of this machine, so it becomes everything. I think everybody's got to understand, like you're saying, that it might cost you a little, but it's going to help the community. I was just I did a post the other day about local businesses.
Yes.
It might cost you a little bit extra to buy from that local business, but you're keeping the money here.
Oh, big time.
It's not going.
Absolutely.
It's not going up country, or it's not even. It's not even.
Which is
it's going
exactly
overseas.
one of the things about
Even
manganese
worse.
ore.
Yeah.
It's going overseas.
It's going overseas.
And to Chancellor House, but
Yeah.
you know.
Well, hopefully, at least the money is going to the mines there, but we should be getting something here. We can't be having manganese stored here, stuffing up everything here
Yes.
and costing
No,
us.
but I'm with
lots
you
of money.
100%. Yes, I absolutely
Local
support
business.
local.
Local business. You've got to. If you could enact one policy or change in Port Elizabeth tomorrow, so you had the gavel, bang.
Okay, this
what
one
would you
I don't
do?
have to think about, and perhaps you'd like. I'm not sure who's asked that question.
Yeah.
Perhaps you'd like something far more dramatic.
Yes.
My fight with employment equity and the way that it is implemented will not end until I win it, or something happens to me.
Yeah.
But until I win it, you know that in Nelson Mandela Bay, my very strong belief is that they do not understand the legislation themselves, and they are implementing it in a very skewed manner. So the result is that they have to have targets. It's law.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be, but it is, and so we have to adhere to it.
Woman, whatever.
Black, white, coloured,
black,
Indian,
white, coloured,
male,
Indian.
female, etc.
Yeah,
There's no space for people with pronouns like they and them.
Yes.
Not yet.
Not
Anyway,
yet.
we tried to get that on the form.
Okay.
Didn't succeed.
Not yet.
But the fact is that if, for instance, they're looking for an African female, you can be by far the best person, but you're from the northern areas, you're coloured, and you apply, and that application will not even receive a glance. It will be put one side. The only time it will receive a glance is if they find that they don't have enough applicants. But it's very unlikely. They do have enough applicants.
Yeah.
So how are you telling me? I mean, I'm generalizing now. Also, I don't like to say all coloured people live in the northern areas.
Yeah.
But the fact is that we have to adhere to the provincial percentage.
Mm-hmm.
In Nelson Mandela Bay, coloured people make up way more of our demographic
Yes.
than they do in the province as a whole. In the province, about 10% coloured.
Okay.
In Nelson Mandela Bay, it's 23% coloured.
Okay.
So, and in our metro, we employ about approximately I don't want to get too technical, but approximately 17% coloured people.
Okay.
So, according to employment equity, we must decrease the number of coloured people to be in line with the provincial demographic.
I see. Okay.
What absolute nonsense.
Okay.
So, if you're a coloured person, you do not get considered.
Yeah.
I will fight this, coloured, white, or Indian.
Yeah. Okay.
Or if they're looking for a woman as a man, you won't get considered.
Yeah.
It's absolute.
It's crazy because you want to get the best people in the jobs.
That's what
as
you
well.
want to get. Exactly. So if
it's
you
all
and I,
balance.
so if you and I, at the end of the whole process, come out as similarly fit for purpose, and they're looking for a woman, then maybe they decide to give me the job. But to put you aside right at the beginning, not okay.
It's not. It's not.
So
good,
we'll
it's
keep
not good.
fighting that one.
And can you share a moment when you felt particularly proud of your accomplishments? So, when a proud moment.
As a counsellor.
Yes. Well, even all as a counsellor, as a PR counsellor, what is the official title of your
Just counsellor.
counsellor now?
Yeah,
as a
just
counsellor.
counsellor.
As a net as well. Okay, Gary says, as a net. It's fine. It's Gary's question that.
Oh, my sources of pride really are my children. I'll come back to I'll come back to my work environment.
Yes.
But my children, I'm quite a hard taskmaster, and I really do strive.
They're tough, Kirsty. Tell us what's
Kirsten
going on.
will tell you. If I say I would employ both of them, if I had a business, I would employ them any day. They're capable. They're intelligent, they're humorous, they're fantastic. So my pride, that's really where my pride lies. But I think the greatest time for me was actually coming into government. You do come into government thinking you're going to change this, you're going to turn things around.
Yes, I'm sure the reality hits.
You don't realize that it takes a couple of years. Helen Zeller reckons it takes a decade before you start. Well, you've got to get rid of. You must realize that a lot of the officials are their allegiance is to the ANC,
Of course.
and there's sabotage. There is definitely sabotage. So you've got to sort all that out first, you know. But coming into government as the government.
Yeah.
And being part of that stage, I was the member of the Mayoral Committee responsible for infrastructure and engineering, which was water, sanitation, roads and transport, and electricity and energy.
Okay.
So it was a massive portfolio.
Yeah.
Lots of learning.
And
so
also lots of
challenging.
complaining with ESCOM, I'm sure.
Oh my word! It was, but it was fantastic.
Yeah,
We were in
yeah.
government. We could make change.
Yeah.
We could do things like there was a problem with Nooit Gedacht. They just weren't. The money wasn't coming through from Amatola Water,
Okay.
and they said they had meetings, so they couldn't come to meetings with us.
Oh.
I mean, come on! The whole project had come to a standstill.
Yeah.
So I just got in my car. They said that. I said, "Where is the meeting? Find out, please."
Yeah.
My secretary.
Yeah.
She did. Got in my car and I rode. It was in East London. I rode there and I gate crashed.
Yeah. Okay, their meeting.
Because I was the political head. So you can do stuff like
Yes.
that. And I actually got what I needed at that stage. We got the thing moving
Brilliant.
again.
Okay.
So I think people were just so like,
Yes, they're taken aback.
just take
I
over
love that.
our meeting.
Well, that's what if
So-
you need to do it, then you need to do it.
You do.
know.
So I have, most of the time I'm not a loud person, I don't think.
Yeah.
But if I have to do something, I have to do something. And I do.
So driven like that, you're okay.
Yes.
And the kids will tell us as well. So it's the two twins, and then other children as well. It's just
No, I had the twins. I had a
just the
son,
twins. Okay, a son.
and I think that's where, that is where my interest in disability arose, because Ryan was born severely deformed.
Okay.
And
Wow.
and you know that, Sham, I don't want to bring this sad.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a long
Yeah.
time ago. It was
Yes.
He was born in 1982. So it's a long time ago.
Sure.
But he was born severely deformed, and nobody said congratulations on your son.
Yeah.
Nobody, because they knew he was deformed. People
Yeah.
said, "We're so sorry to hear about your son," which is what you'd ordinarily say
Yes.
when there's a death, you know.
Yeah.
And then he only
Yeah.
lived for 4 days, and
Wow.
he died.
Okay.
And then people said it was for the best, you know. You've got
Yeah.
twins and you've got
They
this.
make these statements,
Nobody
say,
said
yeah.
we're so sorry.
Yeah.
So it was completely skewed. And so all my life, I used to work at Lake Farm every Sunday and just work in the shop there.
Yes,
I used to
yes.
help Annette Lovemore do riding for the disabled. Hated the horses. Didn't like
I don't like horses either, but my wife
But-
loves them. So I'm like, it's like, oh my God, I've got to go to the
But it was fantastic. The kids loved it. The kids from Lake Farm absolutely loved it. So,
Okay.
yeah. What are some of my hobbies and interests?
Yes, hobbies and
outside
interests
of
outside of
politics?
politics. Yeah.
I read
Okay.
quite a lot, but I tend to read politics, which is not.
You follow the American
not so
politics as well, though.
But I do granny things, so I crochet.
Oh, crochet.
And I do.
Very nice. Yes. Very, very nice for a Lovemore to do some
yes,
crochet.
I do granny thing. I do a crochet and I knit and I do
You learn
mosaic.
at Kimberley Girls, you learned that, eh?
My mom.
Your
Kimberly was
mother.
cold.
Oh,
She
right.
knitted. She
The
taught me.
vermoten.
Exactly.
It's
And,
net, jy moet leer,
I
hoor
go
jy?
to painting classes. So I do a lot of crafty stuff.
Okay.
I like it's sort of different from my normal logical brain.
Okay. So crafty.
Yes.
That's sort of anything with your hands.
With my hands. Yes.
And your mom, I say, I've lost my train of thought now, but I said that was in Kimberley. Your mom and dad were there. What was your dad doing there in Kimberley?
He was a manager at the hospital.
Oh, okay. Oh, the hospital.
Yeah.
So was he a doctor?
No, he was a manager. Like Angela is now. She's
Okay.
she's the manager of the oncology unit at the Leicester Hospital in the UK. But
Okay.
no, that's what she did. My mother didn't really work. She did odd jobs here and there.
Okay.
but-
Was she arty or not? Was she? And that's what I wanted to find out is if you're brought up English then as well. You're not Afrikaans. For Morton sounds very
I
Afrikaans.
know it does. And when you're in Kimberley and you say Annette Vermoten.
Ja, dan sê Annette
Afrikaans.
Vermoten. Was jy
But-
Afrikaans?
And I
Nie
loved
Afrikaans.
Afrikaans. I did Afrikaans
okay.
when it was still called Afrikaans higher at
But
school.
home language is English.
My home language, yeah, is
English always,
is
okay.
English. And of course, marrying into the Lovemore family,
Yes.
that was English. Yeah.
Okay, yes, of course that as well. A funny or a memorable anecdote from your time in politics. So any funny stories?
I think really it's the insults that get thrown at you in Parliament. I've mentioned the idiot
Yes.
one, but the Minister of Home Affairs, who was then Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma,
Oh, yes.
she I raised something which was the truth. Absolutely, I made something known which they'd been trying. I can't remember what it was. Even
Yes,
they'd been
yes.
trying to hide.
Okay.
And she said, she stood up and she said, if the honourable member was not an honourable member, I would have called her a liar. So Albert puts up the hand and says, is it parliamentary to call an honourable member a liar? And the speaker says, the minister didn't call the honourable member a liar. She merely said that if the honourable member had not been an honourable, I mean, it just gets
you're
ridiculous.
crazy.
It just gets ridiculous.
He was like an honourable member. This honourable member that. Okay, I think it's nearly time. Okay, maybe a few more comments here. I don't know if there are, and we'll get to the getting to know you, little short getting to know you questions as well.
Oh, okay.
After this too, is that Sharon? Sharon says she's watching as well. I see there. Who's that? Daniel.
Oh, there's
Daniel
always-
Fisher.
Danielle, yes.
Is Daniel? Is that down in Cape Town? Daniel. Is
No,
that-
Danielle's local.
Is she also like is a different Danielle Fisher than I don't know another Danielle Fisher.
Gino saw you down
So
at
at Crom
Crom,
for
she
the
says.
first time, and there we go. Gave me a ridiculous stomach laugh. Thank you very much. I like that. Oh yes, I remember her now from the show. Sharon McClelland also watching. There we go, the Sharon, and Kathy Newman. Yes. Kathy says, "Thank you for all you do for the Metro." She's our teacher. Yeah, that was the one. Annette, you're an inspiration.
Oh,
There we
goodness,
go.
thank you.
It is inspiring. So proud of to have you as my mentor, says Tori.
Tori was the winner of the best young leaders participant
Oh,
in this
there we
last
go.
year, and
Okay.
I was her mentor.
The
So I
Pumalanga.
was equally proud to mentor her.
Fantastic. I love the blanket you made in lockdown for your grandchild, says Wendy.
Thank you, Wendy.
Wendy's a crafts person. She loves crafting. If you want to get crafting, get hold of Wendy. I tell you what, she knows her stuff. She does this scrapbooking and
Yes,
all.
yes.
She does all
I
that
haven't
stuff.
tried that yet.
Oh, that's another story.
I'll have to try that.
Is there a place in PE that you like to go visit? Your happy place, special place?
You know, my two, no, maybe not brand names, hey.
No brand names. That's fine.
Is that
Yeah,
fine?
there's no rules here. Can go. It's fine.
My two favourite coffee shop stroke
Yes.
restaurants are Brioche
Oh yes, brioche.
and Love Brioche.
Oh, love
and their Mospolikies are fantastic, and the Heritage Cafe.
Oh, down the yes. That's down at the bottom there. Ken Denton's
Yes,
spot,
but now I'm dying to try the old Stamp House, which is Gustav, who owned the Heritage Cafe. It's his new restaurant in Warmer. So I'm dying to.
Oh, I must check that. What's it called? The
Old-
Stamp House.
The old Stamp House.
Whereabouts is that? Do you know?
I think it's 180 Main Road, but you'll find it if you
Main
put it
Road
in.
Warmer.
Yes, Main Road Warmer.
Give it a go.
But I've
like
been
that.
very privileged being part of the Lovemore family
Yes.
to have had access to Bushy Park and the beach
Lauries
down there.
Bay.
And Lauries
Yeah,
Bay.
Isn't it beautiful?
That private beach, somebody the other day told me it's not a private beach.
Yes. They don't like to talk about Lauries Bay.
And the people down there are
Yes.
trying to create an Orania.
It's like Fight Club.
No, we're not trying to create an Orania. It is a private beach.
Yes.
But it is an absolute gem. It's an unspoilt beach
Beautiful.
where no matter what your figure is, you're alone on the beach and you
Yes,
can go
yes,
into
yes,
this.
yes.
Absolutely beautiful. So I've
Yes.
been very privileged.
From it's what's the place up just north? Is it man? I want to say Cozy Bay, but it's not Cozy Bay. What's it called?
Kinney Bay.
Kinney Bay. Kinney
Yes.
Bay. That's the one.
Yeah.
And it is absolutely beautiful down there. But it's like Fight Club. If what's it? Nobody talks about Fight Club. Where if you remember, what was that? The first rule of Lauries Bay is that nobody talks about Lauries Bay.
Yeah.
No. Have you ever, Gary question, here's a nice one for you. Have you ever had to navigate a cultural misunderstanding?
Yes, yes. Not so much cultural. You know, I tend to, I ask a lot of questions. That's my superpower.
Yeah.
I ask questions. My children will tell you that I always ask, as they put it, 110 questions about everything. But it's my superpower in politics. You have to ask questions.
Yes.
So
Don't be scared. You just got to go.
No, so I'm interested in people. So I like to ask them questions. So I think that has saved me from being embarrassed culturally, for the most part.
Yeah.
But when I first became a councillor, the ward that I was in included Malabar. And one of the first gentlemen to come forward and say that he'd work with me was he's passed away since, Mr. Govindasamy Reddy.
Okay.
And he was Hindu.
Okay.
I knew nothing about
Hinduism.
Yeah. And I was in his little house. He had like a little RDP house in Malabar's a strange place. You get these mansions, and then next to it you get a tiny little house.
Yes, yeah.
Mr. Govindasamy Reddy had a tiny house, and he had all these deities in the corner of his kitchen. And I said to him, Mr. Reddy, would you mind if I had a look at your deities? And he said, of course. And I stepped forward and I stepped onto his prayer mat. The man cried. He actually cried.
Oh, shame.
Well, what he did was he made me take him to his priest, Kesu Padiachi.
Okay.
And Kesu gave me...
So you're not allowed to step on the prayer mat?
No.
It's the worst possible thing you could do. And
Kesu gave me a book.
Okay.
I can't remember what it was called, but it was like a beginner's guide to Hinduism.
Okay.
That I must take home and read.
Yes. Okay. So you could learn.
So that was that job.
Not to stand on anyone's prayer mat.
Absolutely learn.
Oh my word. Okay.
And I think that's been about the worst. There are things that come with not so much with culture, but with socioeconomic circumstances. Like I was fighting at one stage very much against litter pickers. As long as you're paying people to pick, it's the truth of the matter. As long as you're paying people to pick up litter, people will litter. I have so often been told that by people who are littering, somebody's paid to pick that up.
Yeah.
So why should I bother?
Wrong.
So I was arguing this point, and I just kept getting told that it's fine for you, Councillor Lovemore, because you have bread on your table every day, and you are trying to take away from the person who only has half a loaf a day. And how do you argue that? You can't, because the people who are doing those jobs, picking up the litter, are poor. They are desperate. They are struggling to put bread on the table for their children.
But there's surely enough litter for them all
to go around.
No,
but people do. People do. They will tell you that somebody's paid. And in one case, somebody told me that her mother is a litter picker.
Yeah.
So she will throw down her straw from her Coke. Thank you very much. So it's that sort of thing where you're accused of. I was very much involved with street children as a ward councillor, because there are a lot of street children who were prostituting at young ages. I mean, they're going to be dead by the time they're 16, you know, with either drugs or AIDS or whatever. Yeah. But the police captain, the station commander locally, told me that I didn't understand poverty when I was trying to get these kids off the streets, because as far as he was concerned, they were there because they were poor.
Yeah.
And they were desperate. So I've been accused a number of times of not understanding poverty. And I don't deny that I don't understand. I've never experienced it.
Yeah.
So
never experienced ourselves.
But that is something as a councillor and as a public representative that I so often say to people, look, I don't live where you live, but it's my job to represent your needs and interests. So in order for me to do that, you actually have to make me understand. You have to tell me in such a way that I understand, or show me. Show me. So that I understand, you know.
Okay, well, let's have a look now. We've got I've got a couple of questions that we asked. Just they sort of telling questions, and they're silly questions, some of them. But we'll have a look. I'll pick them from this thing. It's called the getting to know you section.
Okay.
We've normally got a little thing there down the bottom there. There we go. These are getting to know you.
get to know all about you.
Okay. Have you ever had an experience that you describe as an adventure?
Gee, I'm not the most adventurous person.
Not, you're not a big
No,
risk taker.
I don't. No, the risks
Risks
I
to
take are in
take.
tastes. So
Okay.
I will taste anything.
Oh,
eat
tasting.
anything.
What is the weirdest crap that you've tasted?
I wish I could taste more. I'd love to taste more. I think tripe is probably the worst I've had,
Is it?
but I love it. So it's not. It's
like
not.
stomach lining.
But it's still an adventure. Tripe and onion, still
It's
adventure.
tripe and onion.
Yep.
I don't mind tasting either. I'll give it a go.
But I'm not a mountain climber or
Not like bungee jumping and
No.
being in a plane. Like a,
Been in a plane, but I haven't jumped out of one.
Do you like when you're out for flying and stuff like that? You're not scared of anything like
No.
that? No, unexplained fears of heights or things. Or
Sharp knives. Don't have a
sharp knife.
Don't have a sharp knife in my
Really,
house.
or blunt, or butter knife.
Yes,
You
or
don't mind
butter-
smear. Come in here, I'll smear you to death. Okay.
Farm the lamb roast with a butter knife.
Oh, really?
Don't have a
Don't
sharp
like
knife.
sharp knife. Was it because in Kimberley?
I don't
You
know
had a-
why it is. It just is.
You're-
It's just an irrational fear.
But you crochet, isn't that sharp? Aren't those things sharp? And they
No, you've
hook
obviously
things.
never crocheted.
They got hook things on them, haven't they?
Yes, but that's sharp.
They could hook you, man. You must watch out for those crochet needles.
No.
Okay. Biggest learning experience that you've ever had?
I suppose this is a cop out, really.
Yeah.
But my biggest strength is learning. I mean, I've done the Strengths Finder Index, and my biggest strength by far is learning. I love to learn. This career in politics has allowed me. I mean, it's allowed me to learn about cultures, different aspects of how government works, of how how South Africa works.
Yeah.
So the last 24 years for me have been incredible learning experience.
Yeah.
And I've had to learn because it's not for my sake.
Yeah.
Unless I learned, I couldn't serve people, which I promised to do. So
It's such a wide range of stuff that you've had to deal
well,
with.
education was probably the biggest learning. Sort of, you just put in there, and you've got to know it,
Wow.
and you don't. So you learn.
We were talking about it earlier before the show, and you were saying that you just literally phoned people up as well at the time. And if you need to find out about something, you rather speak to people. You find it's a better way to learn how to do it.
Absolutely, I still do it. Yeah.
Learn from experience, basically. Learn
Yes.
from someone else's experience as well, if you need to.
Well, you can read stuff, but
Yeah.
but talking to somebody who's actually been there, who's actually been in a situation, is very different.
The nitty gritty.
Yes.
Yeah, you're
Absolutely.
right. You're right. Good. I like that one. If you could instantly become an expert in something, what would you be an expert in? Anything, no rules.
If I could instantly become an expert in something.
Excluding the Kama Sutra.
That's your broad cultural things
No,
again.
you see, I'm thinking far too logically and
You're working with comedians here.
yes. No, labour law, I think.
Labour law. You just say labour law. You go and work for Johnny Goldberg.
No, even in the municipality, if I could understand labour law better, with all the problems that are going on with disciplinary hearings and oh my word,
it's quite.
I wish I knew more.
hectic.
I wish I knew more.
I mean, you probably know a lot about labour law in the council because they seem to.
You have to, but not enough. I'd love to be an expert. I'd love to be the go-to person.
So you know immediately when somebody starts talking about something, you know that they're
But
wrong.
law generally, I actually wish I'd studied law.
Law. Could have done it.
Yes.
It's never too late, Annette.
I've done 3 years of a four-year degree, but I'm 65. I'm trying to decide, is anybody going to take me in to do articles? I don't know.
Go out with a blaze of glory. Keep studying until you,
So maybe
till you
next
take your
year,
last breath.
Yeah, maybe next year.
I've got my degree, Dr. Lovemore.
Because now I'm the what do they call them? Paralegal.
Paralegal.
Whatever.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Some things that you've had to unlearn.
I haven't unlearned them. I think in a constant state of conflict because I have a need to point out what's wrong.
Yeah. Okay. So
And sometimes people don't like it.
yes, well, but that's a good thing. That's a good
It's not
thing.
always a good thing. Sometimes
That's
you have
right.
colleagues.
Yes.
You've
right.
interviewed one of them. He's left the DA since.
Oh, right.
Who don't like to hear that I don't agree with the way that he's doing things. No, it can get you. You get seen as a difficult person,
Okay.
not not seen as a positive person
Yes.
because you're finding the negative.
Oh, she's
I'm one of-
toxic.
yeah, no,
Okay,
absolutely.
okay.
I'm one of those people who will find the spelling error. I don't.
Okay,
If
grammar.
somebody is putting an apostrophe where there shouldn't be an apostrophe, sorry, no matter how local, I can't support that business. They can't spell their
That's
own
our
name.
schooling, you know.
Can't
Our
spell their
schooling,
name.
our schooling
So-
taught us to be that
I
that
wish I
person.
could unlearn that.
Yeah.
I wish I could unlearn that, and I
You
haven't.
can't stop yourself.
I could, I suppose, if I really, but it's
It's apostrophe S.
so I correct far
Okay.
too much.
The worst job that you've ever had.
My very first job,
What did
it
you
was, the people were fantastic.
Yeah,
The people
yeah.
were fantastic.
Yes,
but here
yes.
I come out of university, a maths and chemistry degree, and I think I'm going to conquer the world. I'm going to
Yes.
get a Nobel Prize for chemistry. I imagine all these test tubes bubbling and Erlenmeyer
Yeah.
flasks and all the
Yes.
things that I haven't thought about in years and years
Yes.
and years. And my first job was at SORTRI, which is it's a part of the CSR,
Okay.
but it stands for South African Wool and Textile Research Institute.
Oh, ooh,
and I was a
okay.
research assistant. I don't want to bore you with a long
Yeah,
story, but I
yeah.
was a research assistant
Sounds very boring. Research assistant.
to somebody who was doing his research on the shrinkage of wool.
Okay.
So every single day, I used to have to take 30 centimeter by 30 centimeter pieces of woolen fabric, take a steel plate which had 9 holes in it, use a Koki, draw the 9 holes onto the piece of fabric, wash it, wash this one at 60, wash that one at 45, wash that one at 30, dry that one in the sun, dry that one, and then measure them again and work out the percentage shrinkage. I did that for a year.
Yo,
That was my first job.
it's like doing washing.
Thank goodness the people were fantastic
Oh, good. Yes.
because it was the most boring job you could do.
Yeah, I'm sure. Good Lord.
So there I was.
Were you
going
going to work your way
over
up?
the world, and I didn't.
And you're going to have a chemistry degree, a BSc from UCT, and you're going to wash wool, a wool washer. It's a good PE job, though, you know. So, oh, my word. The most nervous that you've ever been?
I think, when I went through a stage in my life of getting to a very dark place.
Yeah.
I actually suffer from temporal lobe epilepsy, and I didn't know it. It was undiagnosed for 12 years. So I used to have these epileptic attacks with heart, palpitations, etc. And I kept getting told that it was in my head. I mean, I've had every kind of therapy you can think of, been to every psychologist, psychiatrist. Anyway, after 12 years, they eventually found that I was actually epileptic.
Yeah.
But so that's just background, not really necessary, but nevertheless.
No, it's also it tells you about what you've had to go through as well.
Okay, so that was 1998 when that was diagnosed. So I get put onto anticonvulsants, and suddenly it feels like this cloud that has been there for the last 12 years is just lifted.
Wow.
That was when I started getting involved in politics. Like I could make a life for myself now suddenly, But I had to develop confidence again because I lost a whole lot of confidence. I was stuck in the house. I actually thought I suffered from, I don't even know how to pronounce it, agoraphobia, agoraphobia.
Yes,
That people
going
don't want to go
outside.
outside. So one of the things I decided to do was to go to Toastmasters. And to improve
What's her name? Mariette? Is it Robin? Is it Mariette? With the lady at Toastmasters.
Which one?
I'm trying, the blonde lady.
Glenys Whitehead?
Oh, Glenys as well. I know Glenys too.
Glenys?
Yes, of course. Yes. No, she's with her.
Oh,
blonde,
I know exactly who you're talking about, and I can't think of her name.
Yes.
I know exactly who you're
and
talking
Rob,
about.
it's her husband now. Yes,
I know exactly who you're talking about. And I joined her club as well. So I joined in 1998. Yes. But I was coming from this place where for 12 years I'd been really stuck at home, and terrified to go anywhere in case I had a fit.
Yeah.
And so not even to restaurants, etc. And now I was going out, and I honestly thought that I was this pleb. I was this sort of little skulking
Yes,
pleb.
yes.
I'd go in there and there were all these lawyers and doctors. I mean, now I think a lawyer is just somebody who's chosen a different
Yeah,
career to me, but
exactly,
nevertheless,
exactly.
all these lawyers and doctors,
Yeah.
and they think like, who is this person coming in
Yeah.
into our midst, you know?
You know?
And I was so nervous for doing my very first speech, which went exceptionally well.
Yes.
But I also found that the people that were there there was a stutterer who wanted
Yeah.
to try and get over his stuttering,
Yeah.
Afrikaans speaking people
Yeah.
who wanted to improve their
English.
English. There was nobody there who was looking down on anybody else and
Gee
thinking
whiz.
this, this pleb that's coming
Yeah.
into our
But that's
midst.
so many
But I
people
was
feel that.
so nervous going there. I ended up
yeah.
staying there for 23 years. I recently resigned, but
Okay.
and getting very
You were
involved.
Toastmaster, so you spent a lot of
They
time.
were the first, when I went to Parliament, apart from my husband, the first person that I phoned was my Toastmasters president
Okay.
to say thank you, because it were not, I believe, it were not Toastmasters, I would never have gone to Parliament.
Yeah.
They taught me to stand
that
up,
confidence.
stand tall.
Yes. Yes.
So I have a giraffe in my house, that's very important to stand tall.
Okay.
And they did.
Gee whiz.
And speak out.
And you, like you say, you had this medication that helped you as well. What's there's a word that people use these days for when you feel like you're going into something that you know nothing. You feel like you know nothing about, but actually you're fine. It's where I can't remember. Imposter syndrome.
Oh,
It's like an imposter
absolutely,
syndrome. That's
absolutely.
absolutely what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't realize that everybody's had their own journey and they've come from a different place. They've all had that same feeling,
Absolutely. And I mean, I've suffered from it a lot in politics because I'm by nature an introvert.
Yes.
And life generally expects everybody to be an extrovert.
Yeah.
Certainly in politics, you're expected to be an extrovert.
Yes.
And I've learned to, when the need arises,
To step up.
Jacked.
Yeah, do it. Just do it, man.
To do it, and then go home and sit by myself. And crochet, you see.
I know. You do a bit of crochet. Do you use the crochet to just calm
It's therapy. Absolutely, yeah.
You don't do any. It's no sport, Not sporty.
No, my children
not
played in the
running
cake league. I also played in the cake league.
But the tennis, not. Didn't do a bit of tennis. Thought that
I
might
like
have been.
games. I like things like Scrabble and Trivial Pursuit and 30 seconds and that sort of thing.
Those things.
But not
very
the physical stuff.
stuff.
No, not very physical. Sorry.
So like you didn't get the sports and
Portfolio.
portfolio.
Yes,
My
absolutely.
word. No, you wouldn't have liked that. Okay. Let's see. Let's do one or two more. Oh, your biggest splurge. I like that. The biggest splurge that you've ever done.
Oh,
You're not a big splurger. You said you didn't.
no, I am.
Oh, you like? Oh dear.
It's why I have got no money.
Yes.
Because I'm an impulse buyer.
Impulse buyer.
And I think my splurges have been on learning. And again, I know you're probably expecting a really exciting
like
something,
a car,
like a car, like a
boat.
Ferrari or
Yeah.
a boat or something. But no, I've come across things. There's a thing called the thinking environment, which I absolutely love.
Okay.
The course was 35,000 Rand.
Good Lord.
My-
Well,
my-
that's ridiculous,
my darling husband, if he's
Yes.
watching or listening, he'll know now how much it costs, but I never ever told him. So my biggest splurge has been on taking myself on courses.
Sure. Okay.
I've taken myself on a lot of
You
courses
sound like
and
my wife.
sort of decided that it's crucial. I have to.
Well, that's learning.
Have to know that.
Because you have to be forgiven for that because that's just
Thanks.
making you.
Thanks.
It's improving you.
So
in some way, I
yeah.
suppose. So
Let's
okay, so that and you talk speaking of your husband as well. I mean, you lost your husband a year ago.
in December.
December.
Yeah.
December. So not
Yeah.
even it's close. And I mean, coping with that as well for anybody out there as well. It's also I know of a couple of people who've lost their spouses, and it's a massive thing. This is like your life partner.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how do you cope? Hey, are you getting out there? I know you came to my show. And I like that.
Yes. Yes.
You know,
I can't. I
consider
just got you. I honestly thought, and I often used to say to Kenny, he must understand that I'm dying first. because I really thought that I would crumple
Yeah.
up. I could see myself crumpled up in a little heap in the corner,
Yes.
not doing anything, not going anywhere. But I can't do that.
Yeah.
I've got a job to do first of all, which I've committed to,
Yes,
and
yes,
I must do that. But yeah, I am going out. I am. But I mean, this morning was a bad morning. I woke up, looked at his picture, burst into tears,
Yes.
and cried most of the morning.
It's these
And
waves.
So sometimes it is like the ocean.
Yeah.
It is. So, but the consolation is that massive wave that you feel overwhelmed by, and you feel like you can't keep your head above the water, is not going to last. Like tomorrow, there'll be gentle ripples.
Yes, it's fine.
You
It's
know.
always going to be there. I think.
So obviously I miss him terribly.
Yes.
It was, we were married for 43 years.
Yeah.
So what I miss the most is having somebody to tell.
Yes.
So I'll be on our way home from the meeting, and I just want to tell him what happened at the meeting. And
You won't believe what he called me.
yes, absolutely. Or who I bumped into at the shops or whatever it might be.
Yes.
And there's nobody to tell.
Yeah.
So
You can always phone your
so
kids.
perhaps you were sent. Ask me all these questions.
Yes,
I told you a
I'll
whole
tell
lot
you
of
what,
stuff.
you've got to have a strategy. You've got to have a strategy because we need strong women like you in this world of ours, and we can't afford to lose you guys. So, but thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been really lucky. I don't know if there's any other questions that Gary's got. He's normally got them coming out of his ears. But his beard looks like he's got rid of all of them.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know if there's any more comments there that have come through as well. Just the last couple of bits. But especially when these things hit you in your life, you've got to somehow have a bounce back, and it's hectic. But the PE especially needs people like you.
Thank you.
And so just as an encouragement for what you've been doing as well, and just being out there and saying your say, that's what we need. We need people like you in Parliament to represent. When things go wrong, when there's been the problems, you need somebody to take them in. And if things change over this with the elections coming, then you might find you never know where you might find yourself. So we hope that it's in a place where you can make a big difference.
Well, me and my colleagues, eh?
Yeah, for sure. There we go. And Sandy.
Oh, there's Caroline Morgan saying Annette paints well. Thank you, Caroline.
Yeah, nice. Do you see you paint a bit? My mother was
Caroline and I
painting.
paint together.
Caro's she's a good friend of ours. We know her very well. She's full of cuck. Caroline Morgan, then Barbara Manor as well, also a regular on our show, my two faves as well. There we go. Interesting talk. Thank you, Barbara. She's into the soccer as well. Also lost her husband a little while ago. Marlene Hansen, well done. Really enjoyed the chat. Thank you very much. It's Merlin. It's Merlin, not Marlene. Merlin.
Caroline, the last painting that we did together was a cow.
I thought you were going to say a nude.
No, it was a cow, an Nguni cow, and she got so frustrated with this cow, she just painted the whole thing blue.
Blue cow.
But her daughter loved it. She took it to Cape Town with her. I think it's awesome.
Did she buy it?
No. Well, I don't think so.
You never know with the art, It's an investment, really.
Listen, what we produce, I don't think is worth much.
You never know. Elmarie Sampson Kenny was a real sweetheart. There we go.
Oh, he loved Elmarie. Yeah.
Oh, man. But thank you so much for coming on. And thank you for sharing your journey. It's been fantastic and lovely to get to know you.
It was a pleasure. Thank you very much.
And I'm sure we'll be in touch again. And now at least we know each other. You know what I mean?
At your next show.
Yes, for sure. And thank you for joining us on Gino Spot. Next week, I don't know who we've got next week. I've got no clue, but it's somebody very interesting. I think it might be Kurt Brunner. Next week. I must check. Special thanks to Fat Cats for providing some food. We've got cheese. We've got a bit of cheese blocks here and a bit of fruit if you want to have a touch of that. We've been talking so much we haven't been eating either. And thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to Fitch and Leeds and Sovereign and of course Amobia for our internet as well. We're going to do a lucky draw now where we pull a button.
Oh, cool.
We pull a button. We push a button, and whoever's online can win a case of Fitch and Leeds, which will be sent to you. So let's see who is going to win. Elmarie Sampson.
Let's go.
Elmarie, yes, excellent. We'll send it to the weather guru. We'll send it up to you, Elmarie, for your gin and tonics or whatever you need. thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week again. Don't forget, subscribe to YouTube, push that little bell, and thank you so much for coming on. And
Thank you very much.
Lovemore, it's been fantastic to get to know you. Excellent.
Cool. Thank you.
Cheers.
Relax,
There we go.
relax, sit down. Coming out of PE town. Want a drink, find a shot. Never mind your liver, get to Gino's spot.
Gino spot.
Get to Gino's spot.
Gino spot.
Have a laugh, have a giggle, and exercise your middle. Have a Gino shot.
Gino shot.
Get to Gino's spot.
Gino spot.
Get to Gino's spot.
Gino spot.
Have a laugh, have a giggle, and exercise your middle. Get to Gino's spot.